Hello everybody and welcome to Vampire the Masquerade Reflections, a visual novel made for Vampire the Masquerade official game jam that is currently still happening in itch.io, on itch.io, well, itch.io, but it's not gonna be happening for long. There's like 1 day remaining until you can still like get your entry in. Afterwards, it's only judging. I am behind. I wanted to kind of catch up and play through all of the entries, much as I can, but it's a very busy season, so life is currently getting in the way a little bit, so I am currently able to dedicate enough time for maybe 1 entry a day. I will get to them all eventually. I kind of promised that to myself. I do want to see what people have made and I want to showcase it because people put heart and soul into these kind of things. It takes a month for somebody to make a video game, for it to just be on the jam, and not all of us can be the winners, meaning that a lot of these games just won't get the exposure that they deserve. So I kind of want to play through them and I want to show them and I want to read them. Music is so calming, by the way. Lately, when I sleep, I dream of the night I died. It's always the same, a flurry of emotions and hazy images that feel like an echo of something real. Desperation and sorrow grip me, the only pieces that stand out starkly amid the landscape reflected in a dirty mirror. People without faces speak, but I can never make out the words. The emotions finally giving way to something else, rage. And then I wake up. Oh, you and the person that... the person from Vin's novel are sharing the exact same apartment. What a coinky thing. But in reality, there's... Thank you for the people making the event. They put out a pack of like backgrounds and stuff that you can like use, so... Probably a few games will share them. I wake up to the sound of traffic moving just beneath my window. The heavy blackout curtains muffle the sound, rendering it into white noise that struggles to cut through the lingering screams clinging to the back of my mind as I pull myself out of the dream. The apartment is a mess. Yeah, I think it looks pretty fine, actually. It's a bit cluttered and could do with dusting, but I think you're okay. It always is these nights. Not dirty exactly, just cluttered. Yep, there we go, cluttered! I'm the first to admit that the organizational skills that my sire hammered into me over the years have grown a bit lax of late. I suppose my mind's been off. My mind's been elsewhere. Ow! And I just burnt myself with wax because my candle has a hole in it. Great! Don't mind me. I mean, you can't actually burn yourself with wax. Don't think that that's a thing. Mostly because it cools on the skin too fast, so it's not precisely burns, but it's still full. You accidentally spill wax onto yourself. Actually, does anybody know if you can burn yourself with wax? Please tell me. However amount of times I accidentally spilled it on me. Never burned myself. I just wanted something nice to hold. So, we're gonna light one up instead. Don't judge me, it's winter and the electricity's expensive. And I want to keep my hands warm. Also, your sire asked you to have organizational skills at your house? Were you their gardener or something? These bloody dreams. Even now I can't quite remember the details. Even the ones that remain are already evaporating like mist. I try to push it out of my mind. For the first time, in what feels like decades, I'm finally on my own, but I don't quite feel like I can savor it. Even with my own haven, it's not that easy to get out from underneath my sire's thumb, especially tonight. Oh! Oh! Oh my! This novel is super fancy. It has its own dictionary. A fancy name for a vampire that made you a vampire. Their sire would be your grandsire and so on. It's also like an old name for your parents. There is a song about being nothing more but a wolf at your door. And it uses the word sire. And it's about a girl who... Not the song, but the singer wrote it about herself, I think. And she was escaping parents who weren't that very nice. Not very nice type of parents. She called them sire. In the song, I'm pretty sure that she only did that because it rhymed, but still. The message had come just before sunup. A note tucked into my door frame with the stylized AM that Alexander liked to mark his correspondence with, written on the back. Elizabeth, come see me tomorrow evening at your earliest convenience. There is a matter of some importance we need to discuss. If that's your sire, damn, he looks really dead. For your own sake, I hope you remember how to dress yourself better than you remember how to keep this dismal hovel in order. Alexander Marcus, my sire. I can still feel the judgment radiating from the words, but it's the sort of thing I can't just ignore. No one ignores a summons from the prince. Yeah, you have a bit of more of an issue than just him being a prince. Just, you know, the title most often used by the leader of vampires within the city, though generally only by vampires in the Camarilla. Very, very nice for you. Actually, it is a very, very nice touch for the whole dictionary being in place. I mean, we don't need it, but somebody might. No time to waste then. I head to my wardrobe. Whatever I end up picking will send a message. What was saying? Vestis virum factit. Clothes make the man. I may not be a man, but I can at least make an impression. So what will it be? Well, I mean, it's very nice that you have like a variety of styles. Because if it was just me, I would just... I posted a picture of my wardrobe on Twitter. I'm mostly wearing romantic goth slash comfy dark poet slash... Yeah, most of my clothes are just kind of long, black and drapey. And very, very, very comfortable. So we're just gonna go with elegantly beautiful in here because I want to think that my clothes would come off as elegantly beautiful, though not so certain. Businesswear might be the go-to for most, but the Ventura is still the clan of kings. So why not dress like modern royalty? Oh, please don't. Modern royalty actually do not look that nice. I slip on a closely fitted black dress. Yep, definitely not like a modern royalty. Still cut to be professional, but definitely more on the showy side.
I'll make sure that you're in the video, even though I'm gonna cut out most of it. But this one...
Sorry everyone, my husband has interrupted my recording with a very nice cat, but unfortunately, whenever I get interrupted nowadays, my thoughts just completely leave my brain case and I completely forget what was the last thing that I was thinking about, which means that I spend like 10 minutes trying to refocus on whatever task that I'm doing, which means that I extremely do not like being interrupted, as it's just a huge down waste of time, specifically for me. Luckily, I've gotten good enough with my makeup over the years that I can put it on without having to look in the cracked, dingy mirror in the bathroom. With one last look at my sad little slice of freedom, I shut the door and head out to the street. Oh, well, the street's optimistic at least. Or really foreboding, one or the other. Maybe because I can't remember what it looked like during the day, but I swear the city of Santa Fe never really came alive until the sun went down. As I make my way out of the building, a long black car is already pulling up out front. Alexander sent one of his ghouls, human servants that you feed blood to. There we go. To drive me. Let's just see what the manual says. A mortal servant of a vampire. They're given vampire blood which stops their aging and gives them abilities most mortals don't have, but apparently a few do. It also happens to make them unnaturally loyal to the vampire the blood came from. Of course. I was released from my accounting over 20 years ago. It took me this long to get out on my own. He never did trust me to drive myself anywhere. How long was your accounting for? Something flickers at the corner of my eye, drawing my attention away from the car. A shadow disappearing around the side of the building. We're not sliding any buildings in here, buddies. It could be anyone, a pedestrian, or a trick of the flickering streetlight on the corner that the city hasn't gotten around to fixing yet. I turn my head, trying to follow it for a brief moment, forgetting that the car is even there. Lizzie! The voice catches me cold. It's a distant, barely above whisper, but I hear it clearly, as if it was coming from right next to me. Elizabeth. I stand transfixed, unable to place it. It sounds so familiar. Miss Blackwood? Oh my, even no, what? Nah! I have questions! That person's alive! That person is alive! They don't look alive! A new voice snaps me out of my trance and I turn back toward the car. The driver has exited and circled around, holding the rear passenger door open. In the interior of the car, I can see a figure already there, slumped against the other door. Mr. Marcus is waiting for you at his home. He has also taken the initiative to have refreshments prepared for you to partake in on the way. So he sends a driver and a blood doll. Not sure whether to be grateful or insulted. A mortal who lets vampires feed on them, sometimes of their own free will, though that depends on the vampire. Some vampires include several blood dolls as part of their herd. Decisions. Yeah, I'm just... Fuck my past, alright? Just comfortable. Comfortable car, nice food. Thank you. I would rather not keep Alexander waiting. I slip into the car, taking a seat beside the blood doll as the driver shuts the door. The vessel of choice was a young woman from Alexander's personal herd. Vampires feeding people that he knew I had a fondness for when I was still under his roof. It's a gesture of kindness as much as it is a reminder that he believes I still need him. You know, that's a sad statement. Because hopefully you don't just discard people when... Come on, man. I suppose it would be a sad commentary on vampires more than anything, but still, come on, man. You should still need anyone and everyone. You shouldn't just... There's no expiry of use on people, is what I'm trying to say. I gently tilt her head toward me, causing her to stare. She looks drugged. Wistful smile on her lips as she stares off through half-closed eyes. Mr. Marcus anticipated that you might require something to calm your nerves, Miss Blackwood. Alexander's manservant takes his place in the driver's seat, the engine rumbly as he turns the key. Something about your dreams. I'll consider it. The dreams have been afflicting my sleep for a long time now, leaving me feeling rattled and drained. Why not? It's like partaking in weed. Let's get ourselves high off this person. I lean in, feeling my fangs slide out as I sink them into the woman's neck. The blood is transcendent, a refined vintage tinged with a subtle bitterness from whatever they're giving her. I draw away, licking the wound close and settling back in my seat as the drugs in her blood ease my weariness, taking the edge off of malice I've been feeling for weeks. And before it's something like, I don't know, a mild sleeping agent or something like completely not fun, but just normal human medicine. The car pulls away from the apartment building, the driver expertly navigating through the late evening traffic towards Alexander's Haven. I haven't seen him in weeks, but it's no surprise he knew my dreams had gotten worse. He's been able to find my apartment after all. Did you not give him your address? That's weird. I mean, if you want to end contact that much, why not, like, move cities? You can. The drive to Alexander's Haven is a quick one at least. As we pull up in front of the front doors, I wait for the driver to come around and let me out. Ghosts! Statues! Modern art exhibition. People, you decide. Ghosts! Chairs! White burqa ladies, you decide. Mr. Marcus will attend you shortly, Miss Blackwood. Please, you may await him inside. I pause a moment as I get out of the car, turning back toward the young woman slumped in the back seat one last time. Is she gonna be okay? I know Alexander takes good care of his herd, so I'm not sure exactly what motivates me to ask. Something about her, maybe. My thoughts drift to a strange voice I heard outside of the apartment building. Of course she will! I'll see to her myself, Miss Blackwood. Now please, you will be more comfortable inside, I'm certain. I nod, turning away as the driver shuts the car and drives away toward the garage. Another member of Alexander's staff was already waiting by the door, ushering me inside. Alexander's Haven is a large home in one of the wealthier parts of Santa Fe, and yet he still likes to have a welcome rug, just like very awkwardly in the middle of his living room. Like this he complained about our apartment. This isn't a good one either. Away from the hustle and bustle of the city's heart, the interior is no less opulent than the exterior. The decor well chosen to suit the prince's expensive tastes, namely the herd of statues that just kind of plastered at one corner in particular, and bars on the windows. The manservant ushers me into a small side room, dipping into the florid bowl. Please wait here, Miss Blackwood. I am hoping that this is the side room, but this is the side room. I still have questions. I nod in moments I'm left alone, the door clicking ominously behind the fleeing servant. The whole scene, the whole estate carries the same oppressive air that I remember. And Alexander wondered why I was so happy to finally get away. The only real surprise to me was that he finally relented. The room itself is arrayed with few antiques, some covered with cloth to keep the dust off. It looks about like it did the last time, really, though the one thing that stands out to me is the grandfather clock, that I don't remember being there the last time. I just realized, and this makes the room even fucking weirder, okay? This is a sofa covered with white cloth. I am pretty sure. And it's by the wall, which is where a whole bunch of white translucent people or statues are. That means that this clock is not against the wall, it's like in the middle of the room with the green chair. Is our sire okay? A new acquisition? It looks like it was set down without any real care of how to place it exactly. An effort foisted off on another time and then entirely forgotten about. From the swing of the pendulum and the telltale ticking of the hands, it still works, and I find myself drawing closer to it. The sound grows louder in my ears, and I see something in the polished surface of the glass. Flickers of movement, not myself, but something like shadows that shift. There we go, shift. Shifting swiftly And that's like an echo of some grand ball somewhere else than this tiny, cluttered room. Don't you wonder what it would be like to be free of all of this? The voice isn't quite there, as much of an echo as the shadows dancing across the surface of the glass. I draw closer, nearly in front of it now, reaching out towards the polished surface. It's Victorian. I turn toward the door. Victorian isn't that old, honestly. I started collecting books. I can definitely get ones that are like over 100 years old, no problem. That's literally not even an issue, and people keep them in pretty good condition as well. Facing the man who made me what I am. He stands tall, his frame surprisingly lithe for the strength and presence he radiates. It's always been the eyes, though. Slate gray hues that sweep over me like they could see me through an inch of lead. Are you sure that it's gray? It's like orange. He looks gray, though. That skin tone. Ugh. It's good to see you, Elizabeth. I know we did not part in the best of terms. His gaze sweeps over me, his expression difficult to read. You've chosen to dress yourself more like a diva, I see. Suppose I can't fault your choice of style, even if I have always preferred something more subdued. Alexander moves past me, standing in front of the grandfather clock and staring up at the face, watching the seconds tick by. Finally, he lets out a sigh. Forgive me, that wasn't kind. I seem to have lost my tact these nights. I've always wanted the freedom I have denied you for some time now. I suppose that I can understand the desire. The apology catches me by surprise, but Alexander doesn't take his eyes off the clock, reaching up to press his hand to the glass in much the same way I have been about to. One of my people found this in an antique shop. Somehow it had found its way here to Santa Fe, all the way from London. I had intended for it to be a gift for you, something of an apology for how uncompromising I have been as a sire. Alexander chuckles softly, finally looking at me. At least until I realized that there wouldn't be room for it in that dingy little hole you call Haven, child. An archaic term for a vampire's offspring. Words. Offspring. There we go. Come on, brain, we can do this 3D thing. Generally used to express a sire's disappointment, or if they just don't care to bother using your name. Or as a formal way of addressing somebody, I suppose. I mean, if I would have an offspring, I could just like look at them and go son, daughter. Same way that I can be like mom, dad. So I don't really see it as a downy thing. The words lack the normal bite I would have expected from him. A red flag if I've ever seen one. Never been one for sentimentality, Alexander. What's gotten into you? Alexander pulls his hand away from the glass door of the clock, his expression going distant as his gaze drifts. It's a slight thing, but I've known him long enough to catch it. All things must end eventually, Elizabeth, even us. Oh, Jesus Christ, you... Dude, no, that's dark. The words hit me, my mind trying to piece the implications together. Not even sure how to respond. Dad, are you greeting the sun? What do you plan to do? Greet the sun, Alexander, that's... Alexander holds up a hand, stopping me before I finish the thought. Nothing like that, Elizabeth, though I fear that what faces me is dire enough that I may not return. I felt it, this beckoning, for some time now. I resisted it. I continue to, but only just enough that I know that soon I will have no choice but to go east. A supernatural compulsion affecting vampires of certain age and generation, pulling them toward the Middle East. Some say it's the progenitors of clans drawing their strongest descendants to defend them. It's like a big fighty fight. And you get to live in a place that's a lot nicer than America, ergo the Middle East. You know, I would kind of wish that these things would light up as you read them, I would think that that would be a nice thing. The beckoning. The supernatural call that was slowly, inexorably drawing kindred elders to the Middle East. The sort of thing that might have been covered up had it only been 1 or 2 elders going missing. Instead, these venerable kindred were disappearing from cities all over the world. Does the Primogen Council know? Alexander, if you just leave without a word, you're going to sink the entire city into chaos. I expect my words to make him angry, but my sire only shakes his head. I can see resignation in his eyes. Not yet. I have taken the time to put my affairs in order first before I made the announcement. There's only one thing that remains. He reaches out, taking my hands in his with uncharacteristic gentleness. Aside from the moment of my embrace, I'm not certain if Alexander has ever actually touched me. There is an old debt that I must discharge, but before I do, there is something I must tell you. Prepare you. I start to protest, but the door bursts open before I can speak. A lanky, disheveled kindred stumbles into the room, a very irate-looking member of Alexander's household staff trailing after him. Alexander, we got a problem! The manservant stops near the door, staring daggers at the kindred's back. I'm sorry, sir, the man just barged past me. Alexander shakes his head, waving off the server before... Servant? Yeah, the server. He's just served me a kindred. I will take it with a glass of candle, thank you very much, and then I'm gonna see myself to the hospital. Waving off the servant before turning his attention to the other man. This had better be good. The man gives a quick nod. Would look breathless if he were mortal, but instead, the odd calm seems at odds with the frantic look in his eyes. Sorry, Prince. Got so bad in the city, they just hit the wreck downtown. That gets Alexander's attention, his expression hardens, and I see a deep rage burning in his eyes alongside something like confusion. Are you sure? They were all supposed to have disappeared. Very convenient that we now have the Sabbat book in V5 and you can actually write them into your games, because the content was limited to V5, guys. Alexander lets out a low growl, already moving toward the door with the lanky kindred in his wake. Find the sheriff. If I have to get my hands dirty to see these sticks removed from my city, I will. But I want that attack site cleaned up. The last thing we need is the SI breathing down our necks. Follow behind, but he stops in the hall just ahead of me. I'm having one of my people drive you home. I need you to stay out of the way. Feel a spark of anger. He's always treated me like a child. Kept me awake from conflict. I've had enough. Alexander, I can help. Kindred younger than I am have fought to protect the damn city, so let me do something. He doesn't listen, already heading out the front door into the night. I'm left standing there alone until the servant from before clears his throat behind me. Look, fine, just fine. The streets are practically empty as the car makes its way back to my apartment. I stare out the window, watching the city slide past the dark. You know, we have so much complaints, but the sire dude sounds really nice. He does. And what? You actually want to go out and fight in conflict? I don't know. I'm not like drawn to war, so somebody was all like, hey, there's a war going out. I will keep you in my book cupboard. I would be like, oh wow, you actually have a book cupboard in your house? I'm moving in. I think they're called libraries. Or study rooms. Sometimes it's study rooms, but you don't necessarily include books anymore. And nobody but the posh people even have enough rooms to dedicate to like a study room of a drawing room. Or something similar to that. I was never a posh person. But hey, if worst comes to worst and you like want to keep me down in a room in a castle, I will be so down for that. I should learn to pay more attention. Shit! Something hits the car. Metal screeches, and for a brief second, everything becomes a jumble of chaos that I can't quite follow. Just a blur of pain and vertigo. By the time things make sense again, I'm laying outside the car. It's a wreck. Past twisted steel leaning against a concrete barrier beside the road. can barely see the driver inside, but I'm pretty sure he's dead. I can smell the blood from here. It's the sort of smell that can drive a hungry kindred to frenzy, but it doesn't matter. If he's still alive, he needs help. Alexander may be an ass, but one of his ghouls doesn't deserve to be left to bleed out in a twisted wreck. I didn't see Alexander being an ass, though. Like, at all. I kinda wanna move in with him, except for the weird ideas of decor. Like, what was with that? Just like pile of statues? I rush to the side, still facing the strength, and glance in either direction. The street is dead, no witnesses. Good. The last thing I need is a masquerade breach. Yes, that's what... I mean, it's a car collision, not a masquerade breach. I focus and rip the door from its hinges, toss it aside like it was made out of paper. The inside is a mass of shattered metal, and the stench of blood gets even stronger. Step back as the smell starts to overwhelm me. I may have fed recently, but the hunger never truly goes away. Not without killing the vessel you're feeding from. I can feel the beast snarling under my skin for more, and the ghoul definitely did. I drag myself away from the wreck, but I can't see what hit us. Whatever happened, it threw me clear, and what little damage I took is already knitting closed. See, little bird? I knew you were still resilient. A woman emerges from the darkness near the car, her pale features and platinum blonde hair at odds with the shadows that cling to her. She approaches me slowly, a languid smile on her lips, the expression never quite reaching a pair of black eyes that scream predator and away beyond the normal stone-eyed gaze of Alexander and the other elders I met. Elders are like old vampire people. I don't know why you would ever need the word elder translated, but in case you needed to know, it denotes age. I have wanted to see you again for so long, Elizabeth. I get to my feet as soon as I feel like my legs can bear the weight again. I don't know the woman in front of me, but I already know what she is. Sabat. Oh no! Please have a bit more tact. A violent sect of monstrous vampires that worship Cain as the first vampire and treat him like some kind of vampiric allfather. They believed in reveling in their predatory natures and fought the Camarilla at every turn. When the Second Inquisition emerged, they were the hardest hit, and the ones that didn't die just up and vanished. Violent is relative. Cain worship is relative. Reveling in predatory natures is relative. If kindred as a whole are predators, clinging to their humanity like a security blanket, the Sabbat had taken that blanket and set it on fire. They reveled in their monstrosity, which is why when the Second Inquisition came calling, people attack groups against vampires. The Sabbat packs were some of the first to get dragged out into the sun. The rest vanished. Not clinging to your humanity does not mean that you're gonna endanger yourself. Just an FYI. I mean, I eat meat. Does not mean that I'm out there hunting lions, though, does it? I don't know how you know me, bitch. Yeah, just... the person that just exploded your car, let's address them as bitch. That's the wise move. How old are you, Elizabeth? But I would suggest backing the fuck off. I focus swilling the vitae to move into my veins, fortifying my body. The woman looks hurt, anger flickering across her expression before she forces it back into that mask of amusement. Such language, darling. I thought you had better breeding than that. Aren't the Camarilla supposed to be more civilized? Still, I'm rather impressed by the number Alexander managed to do on you, Lizzie. Perhaps that's the cause of your filthy tongue. Nothing I couldn't fix, of course, but I admit, I do find the look of bemusement shock on your face delightful. She steps forward and I back up. I have no weapons, though she doesn't appear to be armed either. Not unless she's hiding something in a pocket. She's wearing a long coat over a cocktail dress, and I spot a telltale lump in one of her pockets. A gun? No, those aren't much use against kindred, not without dragon's breath rounds, and those are usually used with shotguns, I think. Oh! Fancy incendiary rounds. I don't know, if you just have a machine gun and just kind of taka, it's fine, as long as you inflict enough damage, it'd still go down. Now's not the time, I want to find out. Fuck you! Yes, that's the intelligent way to go, Elizabeth. Just tell the person with the gun to go fuck themselves. You okay? Are you okay? I can't just stand here. And I'm not the sort to run. I move, taking a swing at her, but my fist hits nothing but empty air. A hand grabs me from behind, and I get a lurching sense of falling as I flung aside like a ragdoll to slam against the barrier beside the wrecked car. Yeah, I can see why our sire never took us fighting, yeah. She's on me a second later, moving like a blur and lifting me up by the throat. Is that any way to treat your sire, Elizabeth? My blood runs cold. I try to protest, but her grip tightens on my throat, the words coming out as a dry sputter. Shh, it's alright, darling. Mother's here. I've been watching over you from afar, little bird. I must say, dear Alexander has been such an awful parent, hasn't he? Bad enough that he steals you from me, but to force you to pranch about pretending to be a Ventru of all things. You're so much more than that. All right. I mean, every clan has their weaknesses, and you would think that you would notice a clan weakness. As quickly as she's pinned me there, she releases me. I drop to the pavement, barely catching myself from landing on my ass. What the hell are you talking about? The woman reaches into her pocket and I tense. Instead of a gun, though, she pulls out a mirror the size of her palm. Little experiment, darling, humor me. She lifts the mirror to my face and I look away without thinking. My eyes just skirt past it. The reaction makes the woman frown. I thought so. Clever little bastard, no need to explain it away when she's too conditioned to fucking notice. Now I need you to look. She grips my chin, eyes catching mine as that inhuman darkness drills into me. The last words are a compulsion. I fight it, every fiber of me screaming to resist. At least until something in the back of my mind snaps. A little barrier crumbling as my eyes snap toward the mirror. Instead of my face, I see a blur. A twisting distortion that only vaguely resembles a person. Don't you see, little bird? You're meant for greater things. I try to wrench away, but her grip is too strong. With a cruel laugh, she tosses the mirror aside to shatter on the asphalt and drags me close, forcing me to stare into the inky black pits of her eyes again. Now let's see if I can make you remember. Oh, this... We chose the same soundtrack! Woo! I swear, I also filtered down to the song. I kinda like it. This one is nice. But, yeah, thank you for explaining that away. Ooh. Stealing a La Sombra and making them think that they're a Ventru, well that's a move and a half. I'm falling. There's a darkness that surrounds me, something slithering through it just beyond my sight. It feels like oil against my skin. It feels like home. Don't you wonder what it would be like to be free of all of this? I'm standing in a room full of people, but none of them have faces. None except the woman in front of me. Sad smile crosses angelic features and toys with the glass in her hands. Her clothing is old but familiar. The faceless people and their Victorian finery ebb and flow like the sea around us, dancing and reveling. For us though, there's only the two of us. What do I even say to that? I don't know, lady, but I would really like to attend the ball. I can't dance. And I'm too poor. And we're inside a pandemic, so like, probably never. But I'm jealous of things that never happened now. Of course. You know I do. And I tried to think of some way, somehow, that we could... My heart breaks, and I can't find the words. All the time we've spent together, every stolen moment flickers through my mind. I love her, and there's nothing I can do. I know, Lizzie, I do too. Scene around me flickers, and I'm somewhere else. The woman from the street stands in front of me in the clothing of a socialite, her face with the same inhuman quality. She smiles, bearing wicked fangs, and I feel my shattered heart gripped by fear. I can give you everything you ever wanted. Free you from the sorrow that shackles your spirit, little bird. You and your darling Anna can be together for as long as you wish, and all you have to do is say yes. This is such a nice story. She extends a hand wrapped in black lace, and I take it. Shadows twine around us as she draws me in, and my life ends in a heartache and bliss. When I wake up again, all that I can feel is hunger and rage. Find myself again, but I'm not sure how long it's been. The family home is a charnel house. Gore stains my hands, and I can still taste iron on my lips. When I look up, it's Anna's angelic face that I see smiling down at me. It's all right, Lizzie. Katrona kept her promise. I'm here. She cries as she pulls me close, bloody tears trailing down her cheeks. Everything fades to black again, and I find myself prone. Light flickers madly, and I feel the beast urging me to run from the fires raging nearby. The wind stinks of rotten blood, and in front of me a body lays on the ground, decaying at an unnatural pace. Anna! I feel my heart wrenched from my chest. As I lift my head, a figure emerges from the smoke in front of me. A lithe, blonde figure in a ruined business suit looming over me. He reaches for me and everything ends. I have some questions now. La Sombra until joining the Camarilla would have been on the opposite sect, but why would Alexander not, like, slaughter everyone? What was the point in taking... did he just fancy Elizabeth? Was that it? I'm on my knees, on the asphalt, my mind reeling from the sudden bombardment of memories. It was like a dam had burst, and 1,000 different images were rushing past me and I couldn't make sense of, a bare few snatched out of the flood. The black-eyed woman, Katrona, stands over me with an expectant expression, tapping a foot. Feel the tears on my cheeks, reaching up and wiping the streaks of blood away with trembling hands. What did you do to me? It's all I can think to say. I'm overwhelmed. So many out-of-context images jumbled in my head and too many questions to even put into words. All I did was free you. That fool of a prince thought he could keep you caged, but no bars can hold one of my blood forever. Her laugh is cold, and she offers me her hand. I can smell the old blood on her fingers. Even struggling to make sense of everything, I pull back from her and slap her hand away. Get the fuck away from me! Rage flares, unrestrained this time. She lashes out, slamming me against the wrecked car. Yeah, we're not making sane choices here. We're not making sane choices. Something you clearly still need to remember, child, is that I'm not as sentimental as your little Ventru fraudster. How touch me like that again and I may decide that I wasted my time trying to recover you. She crouched down, baring her fanged teeth in a feral grin. I'm not above destroying you, little bird, though I can't say I've relished the idea after Alexander kept you from me for so long, and after he went and destroyed your darling Anna, too. I don't care anymore. The fear, the anger, the sorrow all jumbles together, and as the beast snarls beneath my skin, I scream. Writhing shadows burst from the darkness around me and knock Katrona back. I don't wait for her to recover. The memories rage in my head like a storm, but I still remember, though. I let the shadows wrap around me and I fall backward through the darkness. Yeah, just... Let's go to the happy place that's completely devoid of emotion, really cold. One of the powers of the blood available to Clan Lasombra and Hekata through each approach it in a different way. So Lasombra tap into the shadows, commanding them as extensions of themselves. The other has often been called obtenebration, while those that truly delve deep into the power are at times called abyss mystics. Ooh, that sounds special. It's just another name for a power that taps into something that defies understanding, a formless dark that lurks beneath the skin of the world. I can feel the ripples of my passing. I move without motion, sliding through the abyss. Something in the dark whispers to me, the voice alien and familiar all at once. I'm not sure how long I've been here. I can feel it around me, pressing in like I'm sinking through pitch-dark water. It slithers through my veins, in a way I can't truly describe. It feels like a part of me, and I realize just how much I've missed this. Indistinct shadows flint around me like fish, and something else stirs somewhere in the dark. I can sense it, a terrible awareness that swivels to fix its unblinking gaze on me, the sense of malice radiating from its overwhelming, and I choke as the icy chill cuts into my skin. Frantic, I tear myself free of the shadows. I feel darkness clawing at the edges of my consciousness as I stumble into a dimly lit alleyway. I can still feel the chill of that place in my veins, and the shadows around me writhe in agitation. None of it makes sense. My mind races as I lean against the alley wall, trying to make sense of the flashes of memory Katrona unleashed. Katrona, my sire, can give you everything you ever wanted, free you from the sorrow that shackles your spirit, little bird. You and your darling Anna can be together for as long as you wish, and all you have to do is say yes. An echo of Katrona hovers in front of me like a phantom, a memory viewed from the outside. In front of her, a shape of a woman was on her knees, the dull sounds of sobbing lingering in the air. She looks up, and even faded and indistinct as she is, I can see the tears staining her cheeks. Who are you? How could you possibly do that? My father would never. Don't worry about your father, Elizabeth. He will soon be food. I can promise you that once we are done, he won't trouble you ever again. Now, if you wish to refuse, I won't fault you for it. Many find that their courage fails them when facing the unknown. She turns away and I see myself sit up quickly, climbing to her feet. As she speaks, I say the words aloud myself. No, wait, please. Trona stops, glancing back over her shoulder with an unsettling grin. Yes, out with it, darling. I accept, please. I love Anna. If you have some way we can be together, then I accept, whatever it takes. The shade of Katrona moves rapidly, fangs sinking into the woman's neck. My neck. I feel it, an echo of sharp pain and the rush of bliss that followed that causes me to sink to my knees. I watch my own embrace as an outsider, instantly feeling myself die and tasting the iron tang of Vitae on my lips. Embrace was highlighted, Vitae was not. Vitae is just blood. It's just a fancy word for blood. The unthinking hunger as I opened my eyes again for the first time, second only to the boiling rage of the beast twisting in my gut. Katrona beams like a new mother, leaning close to the shade's ear, and I hear her next words more sharply than the rest. Eat up, darling. The alleyway fades around me, the shades of Katrona, myself coming into more focus as the memory draws me deeper. I watch myself darting out into my family home, feral animal ripping apart my family with unnatural strength. Yep, well that's one way of solving your family issues, just delete the family, just like hit the delete button, somewhere like on your keyboard, that will solve it, definitely. My father, my mother, their screams tear into me like claws. Ma'am, are you alright? I'm still wrapped up in that memory, feeling the twisting rage and hunger as I look up at a man that stopped in the mouth of the alleyway. I see my father and the beast nurse. It urges me to feed, drink the source of my anger dry, and leave the husk for the crows. No! Bad, we already had a snack, it's fine. Even half trapped in the memory, I managed to resist taming the beast back down. I'm alright, please just go. The man looks nervous, glancing back at the street before taking a few more steps into the alley. If you need me to call someone for you, ma'am, I can. Or an ambulance. Are you hurt? What is it with some people, honestly? It's like, no. If someone says that they're okay, they're probably okay. I received the same for just like taking walks in the darkness before. Like, I remember when I was in my old place that was a tiny bit safer for walks because it was honestly very, very deserted, which made me feel very, very safe. The place is a lot more densely populated. I remember once I was like out like at 10 p.m. and it was dark. And I reveled in it. I really liked it. But there was a man. I was just walking in the park. He was taking a run in the park and he saw me and he was like, "Are you okay? Why are you here? Do you need an ambulance?" "No, I'm taking a walk." "Well, you're running in the park. I don't have the same reaction to you. Are you okay?" I look at him, the face of my father clinging like gauze over the stranger's face, but I manage to see through it. Still, I can't control the anger, and the closer he gets, the more outrageous to get out. I said just fucking go. Screaming at him works, and he backs away, lifting his hands up as he backs out of the alley. He even turns and dashes right out of sight once he's back on the sidewalk. I'm trembling as I pick myself off the ground. Shades are gone at least, but I can't stay here. One last look to where the phantoms were standing moments before I turn and walk onto the main street. On the horizon, a faint line of brightness starts to grow, the sky above it lightening into a pale purples and pinks of dawn. I'm out of time and the streets are unfamiliar. I feel panic stir and I hurry down the street. You can't just have a nap in the shadow realm, it's fine. A part of me considers just staying where I am, staring up at the horizon as the rising sun takes me. I ignore it and hurry to find shelter. I manage to find the familiar street and make it to my haven, though I can feel the sun stinging my skin as I duck inside and make my way up the stairs. Barely make it to my bed before the lethargy of the day gets to be too strong for me to resist. Collapse on top of the sheets and end up falling into a deep sleep. My sleep is turbulent, my mind buffeted from one memory to the next. They play out of order, distorted and unclear. By the time I wake up, sometime after sunset, I feel as if I hadn't slept at all. Drag myself to the shower, rinsing off the grime and blood from the last night. Through the haze of exhaustion, I can at least think more clearly. The rush of memories have subsided, thankfully, but the implications. Why would he let me live? Whoever wrote this had a lot of thought put into this. Because this is my precise question. This was precisely what came into... Well done! I rest my head against the cool tile, letting the water cascade down over me. It's comforting, at least. If Katrona is telling the truth, everything these last 20 years has been a lie. It could be a lie. Memories can be implanted, changed. It would be so easy to write off everything she said as fabrication. How clever would it be to turn a prince's own child against him? There was just one detail that flew in the face of that explanation. I can't ignore it. I desperately want to. Shutting off the water, I step over to the mirror and force myself to look. This time my eyes don't slip away from the reflection and the image in front of me is the same as it has been when Katrona had forced me to look before. My face is distorted, wavering like I'm not entirely there. The curse of the La Sombra. If she's right about that, the rest could be true, or she could be lying and using the kernel of truth to sell it. Honey, how would she use this to sell it? This is like a hard thing to fake. Still, I feel the anxiety gnawing at me. I'm not a venture, that much is clear. Whatever that ends up meaning, I need answers that I'm not gonna get from the chaotic mess that Katrona made of my memories. Answers that I'm not gonna find moping around in my haven either. Pull some fresh clothes. Going for something simple, practical. This time though, I'm going out armed. A pistol and heavy-bladed machete should do the trick. All that's left is decide where to go. I don't know if I can trust Alexander, but I'm definitely not sure I can trust Katrona either. One way or the other, he owes me some answers. There's an odd pole hanging over everything as I make my way outside. I don't know what a pole is, but I'm gonna trust the author because they have been very good with spelling. These streets feel dead, but I don't let myself linger as that for too long. It's early enough that Alexander will hopefully still be at his haven, so that's where I head first. Alexander's haven has the same stillness in the air as I make my way up the long drive. The house itself is dark aside from a light on in one of the front rooms. I'm not sure what I expected, but the odd lifelessness of the place sets me more on edge than I already am. I reach the front door and knock, but I'm met with silence. Hello, Alexander? I wait a few moments, no response. I knock again, but the silence stretches long enough that I lose my patience and check the handle. The latch clicks and the door swings open into a dimly lit foyer. I can hear the faint sound of a ticking clock carrying from door the opposite side of the room, the same room where I've been made to wait the night before. The door stood ajar. No. It just reminds me of the fact that if you're not a native English speaker, you can confuse ajar for a jar. Light spilling out from the room beyond. No ghoul comes to meet me as I step inside, and I don't see any signs of Alexander's staff. I cross the open door, a soft clink of glass carrying over the steady ticking. Oddly enough, I find it comforting, a familiar sound. Inside the room, the grandfather clock is sitting where it had been the night before, Alexander sitting in a chair that had been pulled up in front of it. You need to stop sitting with your backs to doors, Alexander, with your multiple backs to multiple doors. For the first time that I can remember, I see him flinch. He stands up quickly, turning toward the door and setting down a glass of amber liquid. His body language screams tension, and a moment of silence passes before he relaxes and steps around the chair. The chair! It's early in the morning, don't blame me. Elizabeth, where have you been? When we found the wreckage of the car, we had thought these so-called Sabbat might have destroyed you. Why are you sitting here alone? Where is everyone? I sent the staff away. I needed to be alone. He steps towards me and I find myself backing toward the door again. The reaction stops him and I see realization flicker in his eyes. I see. So she has found you. Of all the times. Alexander shakes his head, a touch of bemusement creeping into his expression. So she's right. Alexander's brows rise slightly, and I feel a spark of anger starting to gnaw at me. That would entirely depend on what story she wove for you, Elizabeth. Katrona was always an adept liar. I had honestly hoped she had followed her insane cult to whatever hole they crawled into, or been destroyed by the Second Inquisition. Either way, it would have been saved me a great deal of grief. We're not lashing out, honey. We're having a calm conversation. You seem to be having anger issues. So are you, Alexander. I clench my teeth, forcing down the urge to hit him in his smug, punchable face. I am, yes, and so are you. Lies are a tool we use to shield ourselves from the eyes of the world. Any kindred worth their vitae in the veins is a liar. But in this instance, Elizabeth, I had no desire to lie to you, certainly not for as long as I did. Matters were far more complicated than you might imagine. I'm gonna blow out breaking candle because of kind of ow on stem work out. There we go. My stem, because it was dangerously close to overspilling. He takes another step closer, spreading his hands. I show to prove he's unarmed. This is what I wished to talk to you about last night. I still have a debt to repay, a debt to you. If you let me, I can return what was taken from you. Then you'll understand. Take another step back, bumping against the door. And what's to stop you from erasing it all again? Rewriting my mind. You did it already, Alexander, so you'll forgive me if I don't exactly trust you mucking around in my head. Catrona gave me back, though. I think I'll pass. Did she now? I can't fault you for not trusting me, child. Given the confusion you must be experiencing, trusting her, however, I thought you were smarter than that. Is child still, like, appropriate here? I don't trust her, not really. But the memories in my head won't leave me alone. They haven't. They echo too closely to the dreams I've been plagued for years, but with the veil of sleep ripped free from them. After a moment, Alexander sighs. Very well, then enlighten me. What did Catrona return to you? What are your memories telling you? Don't like how uncertain being in Alexander's presence makes me feel. There's still some lingering part of me that feels beholden to him, some lingering conditioning maybe. That Catrona is my sire, that she embraced me and someone I cared about, someone you destroyed, that you wiped my memories and made me think I'm your child? Why, Alexander, to torture me? Why not just destroy me like you destroyed Anna? That takes him aback and he drops his hands to his sides. Anna, Elizabeth, no, I never did such a thing. I can't deny the rest of it, but that, no. I knew exactly what she meant to you. As for why, it was to protect you and as a panacea. You needed help and I granted it. You didn't destroy her, then who? Let me guess, you're going to blame me. You gonna tell me Catrona did it? Turn me around and let me loose so one of us destroys the other? Nothing of that sort, child. Oh, he's still attached to me. That's kind of cute, honestly. Alexander turns away, picking up the glass he set aside when I first entered. He lifts it as if to take a drink, but merely holds it there, inhaling the scent. I miss a good scotch. Even were I to drink this, the taste would simply not be the same as I remember it. Never mind the unpleasantness of having to purge it after the fact. Are you serious right now? He sighs, turning to look at me again. He looks sad, pitying almost. Never seen him look at me that way before. I won't tell you Catrona did it because that will be a lie, Elizabeth. You'll forgive me the momentary indulgence as I gather my thoughts. I give him a look that could melt steel, and he relents, lowering the glass and looking me in the eyes. It was you, Elizabeth. Neither I nor Catrona destroyed Anna because you had already committed the grisly act yourself. Oof! Wasn't expecting that. Fingers of ice slide around my heart, squeezing. Stop lying to me. Not lying. I hadn't wanted any of this to happen this way, but I see no other option than to lay it all bare. You destroyed her, and then you begged me to make you forget. You were broken, haunted by what you'd done. Pitiable. Pity. There it was again. The shadows convulse around me as I feel anger draining, flaring in my chest again. But those cold fingers of dread manage to keep it at bay. I want to close the distance, to take that glass of scotch and break it against his head, but I don't. Why even do it? It's all I can think to ask him. I see Anna's body crumbling away, I see Alexander reaching for me with his eyes cutting into my soul, and yet I don't remember the act. The moment of destruction, why? Because I owed you a debt I do not wish to carry any longer. Oh wow, how old are we? If you get indebted to a neonate, how does that work? The lights flicker. I can feel the temperature in the room change. There's another presence in the darkness. One that detaches itself from the shadows to slip into view, resolving in a form that's all too familiar now. Are you through lying to the girl, darling? She smiles languidly, and I feel the inky blackness of her eyes slide over me. I'm disappointed in you, little bird. Even after your little outburst last night, I had hoped you would come find me. It seems I need to put certain tales to bed, along with the lion's serpent hissing them in your ear. Alexander reaches behind himself, drawing a pistol from beneath his jacket, before he can bring it to bear, though tendrils burst forth from his own shadow and wrap around his arm, wrenching the gun down and away. There's a flare of muzzle fire, the shot deafening in the small room, but the bullet embeds itself harmlessly in the floor. You're the only one filling the girl's head with poison, witch. Katrona doesn't even look at him, making a dismissive gesture that causes more of those inky black appendages to whip around Alexander's form and throw him hard against the wall with enough force to crack plaster and break beneath. I will say my piece, love. He thinks he's clever. I'm sorry. It's been a long night. He thinks he's clever. He always has. He's losing control of you, and in the centuries I've known the man, if there's one thing he absolutely cannot stand, it's losing control. But he's lying to you, Elizabeth. You were free. You wrapped your own mind in chains. We were glorious together once. We could be again. So then tell me, neither of your stories fucking adds up. I know you remember how I freed you from the wretched little life you were leading, little bird, a life of misery and torture as you withered away, wed to some dull post of a man. I feel her gaze cutting through where Alexander had managed to force his way to his feet, her lips curling in a sneer. It's not that bad to be married for cover, honestly. Like, if you were a wealthy lady, you could actually get away with quite a bit. Believe me, I know the feeling. They drain every ounce of spirit from you, leave you joyless husk, and then when you finally wrench yourself free from their chains, they punish those closest to you that they can still reach. Isn't that right, love? That has nothing to do with any of this, Katrona. She bares her fangs and the arms tighten their grip on Alexander, forcing him down to knee again as he lets out a frustrated growl. I do wish you would be fucking quiet for once. I know you likely don't remember, Elizabeth, but my darling Alexander and I were once so much more together. And yet, as the years wore on, I realized how much of a fucking coward he truly was. He hid himself away from the world, and when I finally saw the light and broke away, he destroyed my child. An effort to punish me for daring to exist outside of the neat little box he designed for us. You twisted her just like you twisted everything you ever touched. They're struggling. I'm now kind of skipping a little bit because it's been a long while. Elizabeth, I need you to trust me. If you don't, she's going to destroy us both. Katrona laughs. He is afraid, my dear. You can't be yourself again. He deserves to be destroyed for what he has done to us. Alright, don't make me regret this. I see surprise in Katrona's face as she looks at me, but it's quickly replaced by deeply familiar rage. You ungrateful little whelp. Good, I need you to remember. The last word hits me like a punch, the force of it causing a sharp pain to stab through my head as everything twists and goes dark. This is probably the worst time to be getting memories back. I think you need her to fight, Alexander. What the heck are you doing? I feel the memories rush over me again, but it's different this time. Where the heck are we? Because this looks like a plant. There's no distortion, no muddiness. The world resolves into sharp detail around me, the smell of blood lingering in the air. I find myself standing in a warehouse, abandoned from the state of the place. Bits of concrete and metal littering the floor here and there. I remember this place. Anna, stop this, please. She stands in front of me, achingly beautiful as that final day we were alive. The difference was in her eyes, pale green hues lacking in the familiar warmth that I had loved. Stop, love, what are you talking about? She drops the body held in her grip, a mortal man that crumples lifelessly at her feet. Blood still stains her teeth as she smiles at me. Lizzie, you really should eat. I'm sure we could find someone else for you if you like. It wouldn't be hard. Anna steps closer, sliding her arms around me, and I feel myself shove her away. The reaction causes her expression to twist in confusion. I can't do this anymore, I can't, Anna. What it's doing to me, to us, every year I feel another piece of myself slipping away. I'm not sure I understand. Are you actually concerned for them? Lizzie, they're food. You and I both know that. It's like Katrona always says. Don't give a fuck about what Katrona says. Anna, before all of this, you could never hurt anyone. We can't undo the things she made us do, but we can change this. We can go our own way and try to be better. What is wrong with you, Elizabeth? She hasn't made us do anything. We made the choice ourselves. She offered us a chance to be something more and we took it. Never had a problem with any of this before. Because I was blind. I was denying how wrong it felt because it meant we could be together. Katrona isn't the one who gets to decide our fate for us, though. We can go now. Please. I'm going to pretend that this is the stress of what we're about to do getting to you, Lizzie, that you're really not this stupid. So forget this shit. Come on. We'll get something else to eat and finish getting ready. Right, of course, I'm sorry. I stepped closer, placing my hand on her cheek, staring into her eyes. Don't know what came over me, Anna. I love you. I always will. Anna's ire diminishes, and she opens her mouth to say something. Instead, I watch a shock blossom in her eyes, mingling with confusion and pain. I'm sorry. I ripped my hand free from where it had punched into her chest. Bloody tears running down my cheeks. I can't look at her as she drops to her knees, falling limply to one side as her body begins to wither and rot at a natural pace. My hand shakes, still holding Anna's heart until it turns to ash in my grip. Wow, that's one way to go! The memory blurs and shifts, a smell like ash and smoke filling the air around me, but I can't tell where it's coming from. What I see now is the aftermath of a fight. Around me, the bodies of 3 kindred crumble and rot to nothing as I fall to my knees. Sword falls from my grip, clattering to the ground beside me. Why did you do that? A man approaches me, Alexander's familiar features resolving into the murk. Through here they are unfamiliar. I'd never seen him before like this. My eyes lift to his face for a moment before falling down to the body in front of me. It's one of Katrona's pack, my pack. For the briefest moment, her face is Anna's. Her eyes stare at me with accusation and crumble away themselves. Anna, what? Does it matter? You're safe now. Be happy for that. The pack has swept in to attack this kindred, the target we had been focused on for weeks, some old enemies of Katrona's. The way they shouted at you were one of their own? Why stand against them? Because they wanted it to end. This was a trick, it's a desperate one. For one of yours to turn onto their pack is difficult to imagine being used as a ploy. Think whatever you want, I don't care. It saved my own life, as it were. Can't allow that to go without repayment. Name your price. I want to forget. For a moment, Alexander looks confused, then he simply nods and offers me his hand. I think that can be arranged. Oh, I feel bad for the man. He did good. Barely any time has passed as the memories let me go. Alexander roars, throwing himself at Katrona. With her eyes still on me, she doesn't react in time as he slams his fist into the side of her head, staggering her. Shake off the confusion, bracing myself to act. I draw my pistol, opening fire while Katrona is staggered, the bullets ripping through cloth and simply bounce off her, not even breaking skin. Cursing, I lunge forward, letting my blood add strength to my blow as I lash out. Katrona goes flying, plaster and brick crackling and crumbling as she hits the wall with an inhuman amount of force. I don't give her the time to recover. I'm on top of her, hitting. Fist slamming into her face as I lose control for a moment. Not until I feel Alexander's hand on my shoulder that I stop, though. Feel the anger still simmering under my skin. That's enough, Elizabeth. We're done. We're never done, my love. My daughter. Shadows bleed from the wall around her, wrapping themselves around her fingers as she lifts her hand, grabbing Alexander's arm. He screams and I hear bone crackling. Oh, Jesus Christ, this dude was nice. He was just trying to even let her go after that? Ah! Even as the fabric of his jacket and the shirt beneath rot and crumble away. The hand gripping Katrona's neck withers, dropping her as Alexander wrenches himself backwards. Darkness boils and writhes behind Katrona, and with a broken laugh she falls backward into it. Gone. Alexander's people show up at the scene after the danger had already passed, of course. Insist we vacate the area while they sweep for Katrona or anyone with her. My surprise, Alexander drives us back to my apartment himself. Didn't even know he could drive! It doesn't say anything until we're inside. Even then it takes him a few drawn-out moments as he sinks onto the less than pristine couch with an expression like he had been made to seat himself on a pile of trash. To be fair, he's not that far off. It's a piece of shit. I'm sorry this all had to happen this way, Elizabeth. I had intended to restore your memories to you before I left either way. I just didn't anticipate that woman getting in the middle of this. He has a habit of doing that. She was always a jealous creature, quick to blame others for her own mistakes. And her child? I did destroy her. I was left with no choice. Ideological differences. Don't have to go into detail, I get it. I know you've never been the sentimental type, Alexander. It's fine. The time has come, hasn't it? You gotta leave? It has, and I do. I can't pull it off any longer. With your memories restored, I have no reason to linger. What about you? You could still have a place here? I don't know, honestly. I don't know! Kinda having like a La Sombra on your toes doesn't sound like a great thing to like try and live here, but that's just me. I'll be going to, I think. You will do no such thing, Elizabeth. The terse words catch me off guard, and I frown at Alexander. I'm not your child, remember? And soon you won't be the prince anyway. Besides, I don't mean I'm going with you. I just need to go. Katrona knows I'm in Santa Fe. Once again, good thinking. Thank you, writer. So I need not to be in Santa Fe anymore. Won't be able to figure this mess in my head out without her breathing down my neck. Alright, we rest then. Tomorrow is a new night, and you can figure out your course of action from there. We passed the rest of the night in silence. As the sun rises, I let Alexander take the bed and find a spot on the floor with my back up against the wall facing the door. When I awaken again the next night, Alexander is already gone, and soon I shall be too. Oh. Alexander Pitchford, you're absolutely great at this. Outside of this having been a very long experience, which is not a bad thing, right? But, it's very well written. And I feel bad for Alexander because he seems to be very calm and collected sort of figure. Literally the only thing I would have liked was when you encounter the word in the lexicon for it to like light up if you have already explored it. That is all. That is my only complaint. Otherwise, this is very, very impressive. If you want to play through this game yourself and make different choices, it's in the comment section down below. I want to say it's in the friggin' description of the video. There we go. That is the correct word here. I am very, very tired. I'm sorry. My words started failing me after a while. This is impressive work. And, I don't want to put down other people that made games. If I dig into your game, it's because I think it can be improved. And not necessarily because, like, you did a bad job making the game. Like, the previous game that I played was the only person to actually use, like, walking people and actual models, not a visual novel. I haven't encountered not a visual novel in the game section yet, though I did see 2 games that, or at least one more game that I think is not a visual novel that's uploaded right now. And I dug into that game quite a bit, and that doesn't actually mean that I value that game less than I value this game. It just means that I can see places where that game can still be polished. With this one, it's chef's kiss. It's polished to perfection. I would like to know whether there's different endings. There probably are, considering that you can make other choices, so you can probably end up going with Katrona or having a different set of memories. But I'm not going through 1 hour and 30 minutes of game time to find out, so you guys can find out for me. Anyways, this has been Vampire the Masquerade Reflections, and for a visual novel, really damn impressive. So thank you for watching. See you the next time.